Chapter 4, April 17th, 1917, later afternoon. He needs rest now, said Dr. Harvey, looking first at the Solomon Raymond and then at Amanda Swinson. I'd like to see him every day for a few days. If we had a hospital in Forsyth, I'd want him to stay there until I can be sure his wound is healing without signs of infection, he continued, without mentioning that lockjaw or amputation remained possible outcomes of such a wound. He concluded by asking, "Is there a place in town you and your sons can stay for a few days?" "We need to get back to our homestead," she said. Her face was bloodless, pained by the dilemma she was confronting. "My husband is away, and I have no way to reach him. We have animals to tend. I don't know whom we would stay with in town. I don't have money to stay at the hotel. I will need to care for Raymond." Not wishing to be critical or confrontational, but hoping to find a way for Raymond to remain in Forsyth at least a few days, Dr. Harvey asked, "Is there a telephone we could call to get a message to your husband, or maybe we could contact a neighbor who would tend to your animals?" May added, "You would be welcome to stay at my house. It's too late now to travel back to your homestead in a wagon tonight anyway. I've got plenty for supper for all of us, and I would enjoy some company. My husband is away tonight, too, at a railroad meeting in Portland. He's an engineer with Northern Pacific. Tomorrow you could think further about a place to stay for a few days." "That is very kind of you," said Amanda. "It would be best not to drive the wagon home in the dark. I would appreciate staying with you tonight." Turning to Dr. Harvey, she went on, "My husband is helping build a house down by Ashland, but I don't know where the nearest telephone would be. I'd rather not trouble our neighbors with our animals tonight. I think we'll return to the homestead tomorrow. Please show me what I need to do to care for my son's leg and what I need to watch for. I will bring him back if there's a need." Dr. Harvey placed his hand on Amanda's shoulder. "You are a brave woman. Your sons are fortunate to have such a strong mother. May I ask about your home and about how Raymond broke his leg?" "Of course," said Amanda, relieved to have a plan in place, even if it's not an optimal one. "Raymond is so rambunctious. He was running in the field near our house with Bingo, our dog. Bingo was barking and running back and forth in front of Raymond, as he often does to warn when a rattlesnake is near. Raymond must have seen the snake. He turned quickly and began to run down the hill towards the house. I saw him fall and tumble off a rock ledge. He screamed and then rolled further." She paused. Her face had a pained look, but she continued, "I left the clothes I was washing and ran to him. Oh my, those clothes are still in the wash water. When I got to Raymond, his face was pale, but he was breathing. Bingo licked his face and kept circling him, probably to make sure no snake was near. Raymond had fallen from that large rock and then rolled onto a barbed wire fence." She stopped for a moment. Tears were welling up in her eyes. "I knew his leg must be broken, and there was blood on his pant leg. I knew I had to get him to town." Dr. Harvey asked, "How did you get him into the wagon?" Amanda took a deep breath and looked out the window into the distance. "I yelled at Axel to hitch Dan to the wagon. Dan is strong, but gentle to handle. Axel did this quickly. I was so proud of him," she said, while putting her arm around Axel and squeezing him to her side. "While he hitched the horse and brought the wagon into the field, I moved Raymond away from the fence and put my shawl over him. Axel helped me lift Raymond onto the wagon bed. I was trying to be careful. I hope I didn't hurt him." Tears were now streaking down her face. Dr. Harvey said, "You two did a terrific job. Your ability to get him out of the field in this way likely minimized the trauma that would have occurred if you tried to carry or drag him to the house." May handed Amanda a damp cloth. She wiped her face. She continued, "When we got the wagon to the house, I hitched Stormy so we would have a 2-horse team to pull the wagon all the way to town, in case I could not find a neighbor with an automobile to use. My husband has our overland down by Ashland. Once we got the wagon onto Reservation Creek Road, Axel drove the team as fast as he could, but that road is rough and rutted from the rains. I tried to comfort Raymond. His head was on my lap. Axel had thrown blankets into the wagon while I was hitching Stormy. Thank goodness for those blankets to keep Raymond warm." She paused briefly before continuing. "As we came towards town, we stopped at homes of neighbors with automobiles, but no one was there. By the time we made it to the intersection with River Valley Road and turned towards town, I decided to finish the trip in the wagon. That road was much better for dragging a wagon than Reservation Creek Road had been." Dr. Harvey asked, "How far is it from your homestead to town?" "It's about 12 miles to town, but it seemed to take forever. Raymond fell at about noon. I remember hearing a train's whistle as it headed west between town and Howard Junction. Do you recall what time it was when we arrived?" Dr. Harvey said, "You came about 2 o'clock, only a few minutes after the afternoon train left the station. So you have done enough work for today. It's time for you and Axel to rest and have a good meal. May will see to that. I will go with you to get Raymond into bed for the night. He may be able to eat some soft food or liquid, but he won't be eating much tonight." May asked Axel to come with her to get her automobile ready to take Raymond to her house. Axel said, "But I need to remove the harness and brush Dan and Stormy." "No need to worry about that," said May. "The men at the library already wiped them down and brushed them. They've had hay and grain and lots of water, too. You can get them tomorrow." After May and Axel left the office, Dr. Harvey said to Amanda, "I meant it when I said you were a very brave woman." He continued, "I hope you don't mind me asking, are you pregnant?" Amanda was surprised at first by the question, but replied, "Yes, I am. Does it show already?" Dr. Harvey didn't mention that he had suspected a pregnancy when her abdomen pressed against his hip while they moved Raymond from the wagon. Instead, he said, "Just a physician's intuition, I guess. I'd like to talk with you more tomorrow about your home and tell you some of the things you'll need to do to care for Raymond during the next several days. Right now, though, let's get you and your boys to May's house." He prepared a bedpan and other items to take to May's house. When May and Axel returned, Dr. Harvey and Axel carried Raymond from the office, down one flight of stairs, and out to May's Ford. Dr. Harvey and Axel placed Raymond in the front seat next to his mother, and May drove them the short 4 blocks to her home. After making Raymond as comfortable as possible in a bedroom and watching him eat a small portion of mashed potatoes and drink 2 large glasses of water, Dr. Harvey gave him a dose of opium solution by mouth. This would allow the boy to sleep through the night without pain. He left the bedpan beside the bed and told Amanda her son should not get out of bed, even to go to the bathroom. From May's house, he walked back to his room at the Alexander Hotel. When he had first come to Forsyth, he had planned to find an apartment or maybe a house, but since the day arrived, the medical practice was so busy that little time remained for such a search. His room included a bathroom with running water and a flush toilet. The hotel manager had agreed to place a small icebox and electric hot plate in one corner of the sitting room. This allowed him to prepare some meals, primarily breakfast, in his room. There was also a telephone on which he received calls at all hours. Long days spent in his office left only enough time to eat, sleep, and sometimes read the Journal of the American Medical Association and the Boston Medical and Surgical Journal, which came to him weekly on the Milwaukee Road mail car. When he had time to relax, he found himself thinking of Marie and how helpless he had felt during her illness. What more could he have done? He wondered if it was his own ignorance or just huge gaps in medical science responsible for the loss of Marie and their unborn child. He would sit motionless, staring out the window when these thoughts and doubts filled his mind. Then he would begin sipping the Flying U rye whiskey he bought from the Cossier liquor store on 9th near the hotel. The next morning, when he awoke, another empty bottle would be sitting at his desk.